I've said it before and I'll say it again, Tubi is the best streaming service right now for movies, free movies. The service has a wide variety of movies that range in quality from really good to pretty good to really, really bad, and everything in between. It really feels like going to the video store. In this video, I'm gonna recommend some horror movies that you might not realize are streaming on Tubi, as well as some hidden gems. So let's dive into it. First up is Strangeland from 1998. It centers on a serial killer who uses the internet to target teenagers and other young people to his home, where he kidnaps them and essentially tortures them. This killer is obsessed with body modification, so a lot of the stuff that he does to these people is really gnarly. And we open up with a young girl who is chatting with somebody named Captain Howdy in a teen chat room. He invites her over to a party and it does not go well. And it turns out her dad is a cop. So the movie centers around his character trying to find his daughter, and we also get glimpses at Captain Howdy, aka D. Snyder, and see what he's doing to these people. I think that this movie is definitely of its time, and at the time, I was 12 years old when I saw this movie. I had just gotten the internet and I was chatting with random strangers in chat rooms, and this movie absolutely terrified me. It altered my brain chemistry. It made me realize, okay, the people on the other end might not be who they say they are, and I might get murdered. So I kind of stopped with that real fast, and this movie, it was disturbing at the time because of the stuff that Captain Howdy does. And there's some pretty creepy scenes. There's also Robert Englund from A Nightmare on Elm Street, who has a really memorable puppet scene in this movie that will haunt me forever. And I think that the movie does have some similarities to A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think now I can see that the movie has some issues, but overall I think it's really entertaining and fun, and it's definitely a time capsule. Next is Red State. This is the 2011 Kevin Smith horror film that centers on a group of 3 teenage boys who think that they're meeting a young woman they've met online for sex, but it turns out when they get there that she's actually part of this Christian fundamentalist group that kidnaps them and makes them repent for their sins. This movie hasn't been available to stream anywhere for years because of like licensing and all of that crap. So when I saw it pop up on Tubi, I was super excited. I think that the movie is multiple movies in one. It starts as a straight up horror centered around these young boys who find themselves in this deadly situation, and then it switches to almost like an action horror movie where we're seeing the FBI deal with this Christian fundamentalist group. The actors in this movie are so good. There's so many good performances in this, but particularly Michael Parks, who plays the religious cult leader. He's phenomenal, and he's so charming and charismatic while equally being terrifying. The movie does have its issues, but I think overall it's a really entertaining watch, and you should definitely check it out while you can. Villains from 2019 stars Micah Monroe and Bill Skarsgård as a young couple who are crooks on the run from a bank robbery, and they seek refuge in a nearby house, and when they get inside they discover some dark and sinister things about the people who live there. This movie was a really pleasant surprise to me. I think Micah Monroe and Bill Skarsgård are so funny, and I would love to see them in more comedies because their comedic timing and the way that they riff off of each other in this movie is really good, and I think we see them in so many dark movies that it was really just refreshing to see them have some fun. Keira Sedgwick and Jeffrey Donovan play the homeowners, and they're also just so fun to watch, and the movie goes to unexpected places. It also has a lot of heart and sweet moments between the young couple, and I just think it's really fun. Double Blind from 2023 centers on a group of people who are taking part of an experimental drug trial, and when they're there they find out something terrifying. If they fall asleep, they'll die. So they have to figure out how to get out of this facility and stay awake. The movie is really interesting. I love the element of this experimental drug trial where there's a lot of secrets, there's a lot of paranoia, and there's also some really creepy moments involving hallucinations as these characters are forced to stay awake and they're exhausted. And it's one of those movies that makes you feel exhausted. Lowlifes from 2024 centers on a family on a road trip who must seek refuge in a nearby homestead of these people in the backwoods. And this one is so surprising and unexpected. I've talked about it before. I think this is one of the best Tubi originals out there right now. I went into this movie thinking it was going to be a generic backwoods horror movie, and it just completely flipped everything on its head, and it's just so fun. It's so unexpected and surprising. The whole way through, I never felt safe or knew where the movie was going, and even the ending, it was just not what I was anticipating. I think the performances are great. There's some really fun moments, and it's a really nice surprise from Tubi, and I need you to watch it because it's really good. I feel like Tubi, you see that a movie is a Tubi original, your instinct is to think, oh, this movie is shit. Like, it's not good, because some of the first ones weren't good, but they're slowly improving, and this one is one of the best. Another Tubi original that is worth checking out is The Camp Host. This centers on a couple that are basically van lifers. They've sold their house and they're traveling across the country in their van with their dog, and they pull up to this remote campsite and they encounter this crazy psychotic camp host, and over the course of their stay they discover just how crazy and unhinged she is. I think that this one has a really solid first hour where we're getting to know these characters, and there's some fun characters on the campsite that are enjoyable to listen to and see how they interact with each other. There's a lot of fun, silly moments throughout this because it is a horror comedy. Performances by everyone are really good, especially the camp host. She's very creepy, and there's just something sinister about her just by looking at her. But I think that this is another gem. I think if you like those woodsy centered horror movies, you'll really like this one. Broadcast Signal Intrusion is set in the 90s, and it centers on a video archivist who unearths a series of sinister pirate broadcasts, and he starts to investigate and uncover the dark mystery behind them. This one is really cool. I love the concept of a video archivist. I love that it's set in the 90s, and he's watching these creepy videos that are of this woman who doesn't look real. Like, she almost looks like a doll. I believe it's based on an actual video that popped up on the internet a few years back, and it's just unsettling to see the videos. It's very uncanny, and just it makes you nervous watching it. And I like that he starts diving into the mystery and trying to figure out where these broadcasts came from and if they're connected to a serial killer. And I just thought it was a fun little kind of noir crime movie that incorporates these videos that are really creepy to watch. And lastly, we have Summer Camp from 2015. This movie centers on a group of counselors who are setting up a camp in a foreign country to help children learn a different language and be immersed in American life. And while they're there, this infection begins to spread like wildfire, and it turns everybody very violent and filled with rage, kind of like the zombies in 28 Days Later. I think that this one is extremely silly. It's over the top, it's ridiculous, it's unbelievable, but if you like zombie movies, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this one. I love that it's set on a group of Americans in a country that's foreign to them. That just adds a little extra element of fear to me because they don't know the language of the people around them, so there's a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding. It also stars Jocelyn Donahue from The House of the Devil, and I love her. I'll watch anything she's in, and she's pretty good in this. And there you have it. Those are some horror movies that I think are worth checking out on Tubi right now. Hopefully these movies will not leave Tubi by the time I get this video up, but you never know because Tubi loves to do that. But you can use this video as essentially a recommendation guide because a lot of these movies you definitely need to check out, and I think the Tubi originals will stay there for a little bit, but out of this list, please check out Red State because that one was super hard to find, and I don't know if that's going to be on streaming for a while, so you never know when it's going to go away. Let me know if you've checked any of these movies out in the comments below. Let me know what movies on Tubi you found that you think more people need to check out, and thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. Bye.